I just wanted to play that little clip, Srijana, because I think it was such an extraordinary moment, and a lot of the girls here may be too young to even remember that moment properly. First, I have to ask you, how is your child? How old is he or she now? I forget whether you had a boy or a girl.
Very nice to see you back, Barkha. Have a good morning. It was a boy. He's Vihan. I didn't name him at that point in time. He's Vihan. His means sunrise. Uh, he's 3.5 now.
Wow, that's really quite something. Well, thank you for being here. And I want to first take you back before we come back to the pandemic and what made you do what you do. And when I was looking at that interview clip, I was seeing you were carrying Rehan in your cradling him while I was interviewing you. When you had to bring Rehan to work, how old was he at that time? 1 month?
He was 22 days. Yes.
22 days. Uh, what made you decide? You could have just availed of your maternity leave. Nobody would have forced
I
you to
was
come to
on
work.
maternity leave, but yeah, nobody has seen that coming, and I felt I need to be. If there is one time that I need to be there as a municipal commissioner, serving the city, it is that time. If I'm not available at that point in time, why am I not officer? Everybody is doing their bit. Everybody's on the road. I still have a much more taken care of family, but there's so many municipal workers who are on the field. There are so many policemen, so many frontline workers, which probably have much more harsher life than me, who are there doing their bit. And if I can't prioritize my work at that point in time, then when am I required? So that was just the only thought.
When Rehan is old enough to understand, and you have to tell him this story. What is the story that you will tell him?
I keep telling him every day that his mother works, and
Mhm.
it is his job to understand that his mother goes to office, and he has other people also to take care in addition to him. He understands. He perfectly understands. He knows when I go, when I come, and he's fine. Amma is at office. Yeah,
How important is it for boys in particular to grow up with those kind of role models?
very important. It's very scary sometimes to see what we are making out of boys by uh, probably pampering them, or the social conditioning that we do around boys. It's very important for them to understand that we have to be respected as humans, not as men, women first, as humans first, and everybody has their role, and they need to be respected for what they are, not by the additions that come after their name, but for just what they are. Everybody's space needs to be respected. Everybody's role needs to be respected. It's very important to teach our kids, and I take it as a very big responsibility because I have a boy. It is all the more important for me to make him understand this.
Yes, it's a great story. No matter how many times I pull out that clip, I feel so proud of you because I really
Very
think
nice.
that. No, I'll tell you why. Because I think that we don't put enough focus and priority on the passion that women feel, not just the duty, but also the passion that women feel for their work, right? And I think you showed both your duty and your passion by taking your 22-day-old child to work because your country, your job needed that of you at that time, and you make us so proud. Now, tell us, Srijana, when you were the age of these girls here, when you were a teenage girl in school, where did you grow up? What was life like for you? And did you have all the freedom, or did you have to fight for it?
My father was also in the services in the same in Andhra Pradesh. So he was an IAS officer. So I had to go around a lot of places for schooling. By the time I finished my 10th, I probably must have done 12 or 13 schools by then. So it's a very transferable job that he had. So I had to readjust every time that I go to a new place. So I'm very used to going and settling down in a new place. So which is also means that I don't have much of friends.
No.
So it's the family that I have.
Yeah.
Thanks to my father, I had it comparatively, relatively easier because he was a rationalist by belief, and an atheist as well. So he's kind of put some rationale into my thinking from the beginning, and he's the one who told me that you'll have to fight for everything, even if it means to fight with your own father, you'll have to do. So he
I
taught
did.
me very young, though he had to have a taste of it at a later point
I was just going to.
In time when I actually fought with him
I was just going to. I was just going to ask you, what did you fight with him about eventually?
to marry my husband.
And what? And why was it a fight?
Wasn't quite a fight. I told him I've chosen to marry him, and he's like, "Why?" It was first one of the first marriages in the entire family by choice. I don't call it long marriage; it was too cheesy. I made a choice to marry. Uh, it's one of the first and an intercaste. It has never happened in the
Mhm.
family. So he's like, "You might have problems. Your mom might not like it and all." But I said, this is it. This is my decision. You have to reconcile to it. And you are the one who told me to stand up. And you have to tell me why no. And
Mm.
don't tell me just no. You have to tell me why no. So whatever he taught me, I put to practice. It's
Well
always
done.
there in me, thinking rationally. It is always there in me. It should not be emotional always. It should be rational, is what I think.
Tell me, your husband is not a bureaucrat. He's a lawyer,
No,
right?
no, he's a lawyer. Yes.
Because I've interviewed him in another context. Now, my question is, how did he react when you picked up your baby and took Rehan to work at the age of 22 days? Was he supportive? Did you have to argue with him as well?
No, no arguments. I think it is very clear from the beginning that everybody has a job. And if it is my decision to go back to work at that point in time, it is their job to give me that assurance that it's okay. It's not spoken in as many terms, but we we're friends first. All friends understand. He understands, and he also knows that he's the father. He needs to take care of the baby as much as I need to take care as a mother. So
That's
it
such
was
an
not a
important.
struggle.
Yeah, when we talk to young girls about leadership, we keep talking about their professional choices. But I think what you're saying is so important because actually you can't have equality at work till you also ask for and expect equality in your personal spaces.
Yes. And that is not something which is understood. I think it is worked up over time when we
Yeah.
make our choices very clear, our expectations very clear from the beginning. So it's like it's an understanding between two friends, and there's so many social constructs which probably will have to break.
Yeah.
Uh, uh,
Including by the way our own, because we are also conditioned.
yes, yes, yes. Because there's mom's guilt. See, that came later. I've made the decision to go back to work first, but the mom's guilt came later when
Yeah.
everybody there were certain negative comments as well as to how could she make the
Yeah.
baby vulnerable. How could she be so irresponsible as a mother? And also, so then I'll start thinking, okay, did I do something? And
Mm.
that is again a social conditioning that is there in my mind,
Yeah.
probably some centuries old
And to
conditioning.
and to argue it for one moment from the point of view of men, uh, I think a new father, should also have the flexibility of daycare, of a creche at work, of taking time off to attend a school PTA meeting. Because if we want equality at home, we have to encourage men into those roles as well.
Absolutely, yes. And we
I
have to
want,
train men to take care of children as well. They're not trained, they don't know. They really don't know. So we really need to train them from the
and but
beginning,
who
probably.
but who trained women to do it? Women are not born knowing these things, or are
At
they?
least they need to be told,
Right.
this is what you need to
Absolutely.
learn.
Absolutely. Okay, I have a lot more questions, but I think questions have started coming in from our audience, our young collective of Grow leaders. These are young, very impressive, very smart teenage girls who are part of our leadership program. Akshita, I see your hand up, and then anyone else, or I'll just call upon you to share your thoughts. Akshita, go ahead.
Good morning.
Good morning. Very nice to
I
see
actually have a couple of questions while you were having your conversation with Ms. Barkha. The first question is, during in the clip you said it's a good value to basically balance your work and personal life, correct? Because you love your work and you love your son, and that's, I believe, every mom does that. So how did you, or how do you still balance your work life and personal life?
It is a daily work. It's very difficult, but it is my priority to have. So I need to be more disciplined first at my level. I need to work out my schedules in advance, talk. discipline first. I mean, I need to know when I should wake up. I need to know when I should uh, go to office, do that work, and sometimes probably even how much of a scheduling we do, because it's a public service. We probably have to work late hours, so I need to make sure at home the family is taken care. So it's a daily work. It's but it's what you love to do. So it is my job to prioritize all of them equally, give them time equally. At least in a week, spend some time with my son, because probably the entire week I'll not be able to spend. But when I spend that time with him, he should not miss the other 6 days, how much ever I can make. So it's a daily work. So, sometimes it's a difficult scheduling at our end, because every day I make it a point that I need to put him to sleep, talk to him, teach him something. So coming back at 9:30 at any cost and putting him to sleep is something which is there in the top of priority. I'll have to make it. It is my job. Sometimes I probably will not be able to do it, but at least the attempt is still there.
Yeah, it's
And
not
that
that
they'll
hard.
understand. That they'll and what I understand now after 3.5 years is they'll understand. Only when they have to be made used to it, taught about it. They're
Yeah.
not very harsh. They can really understand only if we tell them that our attempt is very earnest.
I have one more question. So, you took your 22-day-old son just to office and work because you love both of them. How did your colleagues, or if they did, how did your colleagues or organization help you and support you during the pandemic time?
Help as in
How did they
I
react to it? Were they supportive? Were they
reaction. There was so all of us were so uh,
overwhelmed?
overwhelmed with it. What the work that had
Yeah.
nobody had time is what I think. But honestly, there's so many people who have done it. I told you about a municipal worker. Probably I don't even know what is her child doing when she's coming
Yeah,
out and cleaning the streets. Probably they have
that's right.
better or more sacrifices that they have done than me. So it's just that if we could acknowledge each other of that and do our job without confusing both our roles,
Yeah,
the system would fall in place. Nothing comes without a struggle. There'll be people judging us. So if I am clear as to what I am doing, I don't really bother about, even if they appreciate, I don't really bother. If they criticize, I don't bother.
yeah.
Now I've come to that stage.
I've been trying to tell the young girls here that don't take either praise or criticism
Yeah, I'm not here for their praise
seriously.
or criticism, both.
Yeah, we're not here for the approval of other people or their criticism. Who cares? Basically, you have to develop a bit of a who cares attitude. Now, Srijana, I want to ask you actually about being an IAS officer. What made you do it? What do you love about it, and what are the challenges?
What I love about it is even a small attempt that we make can actually bring about a change. And in some of the roles, you could see the change also. I mean, like I was a municipal commissioner, now I'm collector, Kurnool. As municipal commissioner, even if getting a road cleaned, you could see the change. And coming there and asking it to be cleaned, it's as small as that to
Mm-hmm.
bigger things, like you could change somebody's lives by giving them a scholarship or a road for that matter in infrastructure. So there is a larger scope to make people's lives better. So there is one quote that I've read, I don't remember by whom, but if by existing, by being there, if you could bring change in one person, then being there is justified. So that is
How
what
do
I keep reminding myself.
how do people respond to female authority,
Very
to a
difficult.
woman? Yeah,
Very difficult. Very
talk
difficult
talk
to
talk about that. Talk about that.
very difficult to assert oneself. It's almost 75 years of civil services has come much earlier, but even today we are still better. In 2013 is what I've recruited. 20% of my entire batch is only 20% is women.
Mm,
Pehle though it was much lesser. At least now
mm,
it is 20%. So
mm-hmm.
people are not used to having female bosses. People are not used to seeing women in those leadership roles. So it is sometimes to get that attention itself is a very difficult thing. And in many meetings, 99% of my meetings, I'll be the only lady sitting. either at the head of the meeting or as a part of the meeting if somebody senior is taking. So it's the visibility is still low, very less, and which is all the more the reason why people don't take us seriously. So sometimes we overcompensate by being over strict, over harsh, because you just need to get that attention. There is some centuries and old conditioning in women to not listen to, in men to not listen to women. So I need to say, hello, you need to listen to me. So maybe in a bit more harsher way. So it's very difficult.
In what form does that resistance to female authority manifest itself?
They by not doing what is instructed initially, because they think they know better than myself. Or sometimes if we are a little too harsh, I mean, it happened to me many times. When I'm actually being very assertive, they call me sir. So that comes up very naturally, sir, sir, sir. So they don't know that somebody, a woman, only a lady can be harsher or very assertive and very clear about an instruction. So the automatic, uh, maybe inadvertently, it's the sir comes out. So which is still, I get offended by saying I'm not a sir.
Of
You get
course.
better used to it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's very difficult to find our space. It's much better, I acknowledge, it's much better now because there is a little bit more visibility, but the struggle is on, still on.
What is the toughest thing about being a woman bureaucrat? I'm going to take one more question from the girls here, but my question, what's been the toughest?
I really, it's across all states. You always easily post a woman as Commissioner Child Welfare, Commissioner Women Welfare, not infrastructure, still there. I mean, it's not the case with me, but because I'm a little harsh or something like that, but more assertive than the others. But it is easily, after coming this far, you're again relegated or supposedly sent to a post where it is again about caregiving.
It's like they'll only make women in charge of certain subjects. That's still the
Yes,
second
yes,
skin. Yeah,
yes.
that's very irritating. Even in journalism, that happens, right? You have to fight to become a war reporter. You know, I just returned from Israel. You have to fight for that. Now I run my own company, but when I was an employee, you have to fight for that. It doesn't come as naturally to send women to certain assignments as it does with men. Punya?
We need to
Yeah.
really put people and stop people and think about it, because I just was Commissioner Industries before this. And I had done the Global Investor Summit for the Andhra Pradesh. I with 3 roles. Previous Investor Summit, what I was handling was handled by 4 men. Nobody acknowledges that.
Yeah, well done. Punya, go ahead.
First of all, I'm really inspired by everything you've done, genuinely balancing everything out and your work and your conviction. That's genuinely incredible. So my question is, what is your future vision for the area you're serving in? What do you hope to see with the decisions you're making? Like, what's the world you hope to that your people will be able to live in?
So what the idealism when I was your age has toned down now after so many years. I know I can't change the world overnight, but if I can make an attempt on a daily basis and make someone's life easy because I am there. If I whatever in role I am in, if I'm a collector, I have certain priorities. If I'm in industries, I have certain priorities. So unlike what we expect from outside, it's very role descriptive after coming into the civil services. When you handle a certain department, you have to do your best in that department. So but on a personal level as well, to make life easier for people around, even if it means that you have to put that extra struggle, make rights as a priority to people. Kind of broader now. It's not very specific that I'm going to change the world tomorrow. It cannot happen. But if I have that thought constantly that whatever change I'm bringing in, whatever work I'm doing is going to make a little life of people a little more easier than it was yesterday, then I think my job is justified.
If you hadn't joined the IAS, what would you have done?
I would have been a rights activist.
Nice.
I
Nice.
don't know if I'm not very I don't come up as a revolutionary, but I am very academically strong, is what I feel. So I would have really worked on human rights.
Good for you. And I think it's even more interesting that you actually chose to join the establishment instead of being anti-establishment, because you try to change the system from within.
That is the exact thought when I had. I
Right.
worked in some NGOs earlier and worked with some juvenile home children and all. I could really see how much I could do if I was within the system. So that's when after that I started writing the exam again to get into the system. So if I still think we can do some work, there is still hope left. So
I think, Srijana, the pandemic really showed how important the role of the bureaucrat is. People like yourself, but also a few others that I met in my travels across India. Stellar work done at the local level of government. Ananya, go ahead. You have a question, Ananya?
Hi, I just wanted to say it's so incredible how you were able to balance and you still continue to balance your life, because I think that's very difficult because women have these like two responsibilities that men don't have as like a rule. So in that sense, it's just really inspirational that you were able to do that and didn't give up either one or the other. And I just wanted to ask you a question. You both spoke Barkha Dutt, and you also spoke about this who cares attitude, as in not caring about the praise or the criticism. And I'm just wondering, is there a way of developing that? Because I am personally a very sensitive person, and lots of things matter a lot. I take things very personally. So in that sense, do you just deal with it? Is there like a way of getting that to that, or is it just that you have it from birth?
It's a very
no,
good
we don't.
question. No one's
I
born
don't know
with it.
what's your
But
answer. It's not. Nobody is born with it.
I'll tell you that no one is born with it. But life toughens you up if you choose to be toughened up. There are those who surrender, who feel that they're conflict averse, they care very much about what other people think. I just want to say, don't give up being a sensitive person, but be sensitive about, live with your heart, but care about issues, but form your own opinion. Don't join the herd. Don't join the herd, especially in the age of social media. There's a lot of pressure to be in this camp, that camp. If I'm not in this camp, that camp, they'll oppose me, they'll label me. That's where you have to have a who cares attitude. What should matter to you most is your opinion about yourself. I'll let Srijana maybe elaborate on how you build this skill. It doesn't, it's not automatic.
It's not automatic. You get hit on a daily basis. You learn how to
Yes.
fend for yourself. So
Yes.
it's sensitive. Matlab, I am also sensitive. Something emotional. When the clip is being played, I had tears in my eyes. That is being sensitive. But not weakness. But yeah, maybe we'll have some. There is everybody who's there out to criticize us, to judge us on a daily basis. It hurts us. But how am I coping with it? How important is their judgment on me? Is a daily work. So it's that in that, as Barkha said, it's that choice that you make to yourself. All this happens. This is never going to stop if you understand that you will equip yourself as how to handle it on a daily basis. Nobody is prepared for it, but only thing that you can be prepared of, that would you be to succumb to it or stand up against it. So some days will be vulnerable. There will never be a day which is not, it's always perfect. Many days will be vulnerable, but how are you sailing through it? Are you coming out of it? And how? Are you making an attempt at all, or are you leaving it on others?
And I always say that what irritates the people who judge you the most is if you don't react to them. Nothing irritates them more. In fact, if you wrestle with them, you engage with them, you argue with them, you explain yourself, you're letting them, psychologically in a way mess with your mind. By the way, it may seem to you, Ananya, that this happens to Srijana and me at a professional level. I'm sure this happens in schools. I'm sure this happens in classrooms. I'm sure it happens in groups of friends. There are bullies everywhere. There is what we call tribalism everywhere. People want to own your mind. People want you to be their idea of you. But then that's why I keep saying authenticity, the toughest thing in life. People say, be yourself. These two words are the toughest things to achieve in any young woman, even old woman, even middle-aged woman, even elderly woman's life. To be yourself is a lifelong battle. I'm going to give Srijana the last word before we let her go and enjoy her Sunday morning. What would you tell your 16-year-old self today?
16-year-old self to myself.
Like, yeah, if you were to look back at who you were then and who you are today, if there was one thing that you did not know then that you know today, what is that?
Did not know then, and
Like
maybe
life has taught you.
I should have been a little more assertive in school. When you're saying bullies and all, I should have been a little more assertive. I should have been more clear about what I wanted to, which I eventually
Did you get bullied?
experimented with life.
Did you get?
Not
Did you
much,
get?
not much,
Not
not
much.
much,
Not much.
but some wrong must have happened for which I didn't react at that point in time. I have certain guilts in me that I should have reacted.
Hmm.
So maybe a little more assertive, little more braver. Brave probably is the word. I should have been a little more braver at that point in time, is what I think. Yeah, I'm
But you were
better
just a
now.
child. You were a child.
Just thinking, but 16 is big enough to be brave.
Yeah.
Some
If
wrong was happening at some end, and I should have stopped it. I didn't.
Well, I'll say that you more than made up for it in
Yeah.
the as you grew into professional adulthood. Srijana Gummalla, please keep doing great work on the ground. Keep trying to change the system from within. Keep telling those people who call you sir that you're ma'am. Please keep asserting female authority on behalf of all of us. Here's to the female boss. Here's to change makers. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you very much. Very
For
nice of
joining
you.
us.
Very
Thank you.
nice.
Take care.
Very nice to meet all of you. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye. Take
Bye.
care.
Bye. Have a good day.
Bye.